Hello and welcome to Cover Story. Today we have with us BJP leader and Rajya Sabha MP Dr Subramanian Swamy. But I must confess, this is an interview that I've been waiting for, and a whole lot of his followers on Twitter have been waiting for, and other people also have been asking me about it. When will Dr Swamy speak on the budget? Well, here we have it. His very first budget interview right here on NewsX with us. Well, Dr. Swamy, a lot of people have been asking us for your views on the budget.
Yes.
We know where you're thinking, because I remember your book, which you wrote about 6 months ago, where you said the economy is heading for a tailspin.
Correct.
The budget was supposed to rectify that.
Yeah.
Now, has it or has it not?
No, in fact, it has worsened it.
It has worsened it.
See, if you don't recognize the ailment in the economy and you make prescriptions, then you only worsen the disease. The fact is that the economy is suffering from a number of ailments. Number one is that there has been a sharp drop in the demand. Demand of households, demands of companies, demand of financial institutions. So there's a one sharp fall in demand. Then as a consequence, the pickup for investment is also slowed down. And because of that, those who are working at the margin, they have closed shop, which means unemployment. And if unemployment takes place, then purchasing power goes down. So you see, the economy being an interconnected matrix of activities, none of that has been addressed. In fact, today some newspapers are having screaming headlines that the green shoots that the finance minister promised in her budget speech actually is turned to be exactly the opposite. Because she mentioned about industrial production turning around. Actually, the figures in today's newspapers show that it has fallen. She said inflation is under control. It shows there's a gallop in retail prices. So so on and so forth. I mean, all the 7 green shoots she's talked about have all turned out to be yellow in color and rotting. So I think the finance minister has not addressed the problem of the economy, and she continues to maintain $5 trillion as the goal. Goal for which year? Because if it is 2024, we now need, because of the first year being so poor and growth rate less than 4%, that now we need 18.9% per year to get to that. Unless you say inflation is also now part of the growing economy.
Well, she did say nominal rate of growth 10%.
Yeah. What is nominal rate of growth? Nobody with any standing in economics would ever use for growth rates a nominal rate of growth.
Explain to the viewers what nominal rate is.
Nominal growth rate simply means the output multiplied by the prevailing prices.
Inflation.
So therefore, when you compare it to the base year or another year, say you compare it to last year, then it becomes compared to the output last year multiplied by the price last year. So if in between this 1 year the prices have risen, then it will give an inflated figure of the value of production. This is not a quantitative like in kilograms or in liters or something. It's in rupees, and so rupees will get inflated. So I mean, it is valueless. Nobody anywhere in the world, when he talks about growth rate, talks about nominal GDP. Nominal GDP will never be touched with a barge pole.
See, the problem that a lot of people are saying is that, before you address the issue, you acknowledge it. Now, here in the whole 160-minute speech, he never mentions slowdown even once. That's the dog that did not bark. Even the prescription shows that there has been no acknowledgement.
Yes, I know that. I'm not terribly sure how much of it she wrote, because the bureaucrats had a big say in what will be there in the budget.
It looks like
none of us in the party were consulted. So I have no clue what went into the thinking. But if $5 trillion goal is an example, that means all novices have got together and produced this budget. It's a serious matter, and I think starting next month, you will see a further acceleration of the decline, which could lead to not a tailspin but a crash.
So the crash that you foretold is now happening.
Yes, that's very imminent. Yes, quite right.
So what do we do? Because the biggest problem, the need of the hour, I know you have a prescription somewhere also, is to increase spending.
It's to motivate, enthuse the people. They're all depressed. It had an effect in our Delhi elections, I'm telling you. The middle class, which was very enthusiastic when we were hammering away all these anti-CAA and all this tukde people. After 1st February, everything just started changing. And most of us got it all wrong because of this fact. But the budget had a very negative effect on the results in Delhi. It's going to have very negative results in Bihar if we don't rectify by then. But then, you have to get rid of your hubris and step down and ask for help. That I don't see the government doing.
They're not heading that way.
They seem to be totally, there's a new, in the field of psychology, there is a new term called Drumming-Kruger effect, which means that if you put it in very raw and crude form, if you don't know you're incompetent and you think the competent is incompetent and the incompetent is competent.
This is getting to be a line from Yes Minister. But then how does this get addressed? Because there is...
I think only a crash will address it. Then there's no escape. But right now there's a lot of spin, and I think your media is also so terrified or uneducated that they are not able to pull it apart and put it together. You see, that is the problem that we are having today, because there's no way the public is being educated, and the public is getting more and more upset. So I think we need to. It's difficult for me to appear with other people, because those who call themselves economists and appear in the media, I don't think they're even literate in the field. So it's difficult to sit down with somebody and explain this. I think what needs to happen is, like in the Soviet model, we had a crash in 1990 and then we got out of it. In the mid-60s, we had an agricultural crash and we got Green Revolution. So I think India has a turnover. It's only when there is a crisis, then people get serious. Today we have a top-class defense preparedness because of 1962. If we hadn't been humiliated in 1962, we never would have reversed what Krishna Menon wanted to do to this country. That's all I can say, but because there's nobody listening.
But that is the scary part, because I see, there's no alternative also. Every time the economy we talk, he comes up with a distraction, and somehow the voters do fall for that.
Yeah, because I see, one can't blame the Prime Minister. Prime Minister doesn't know everything. I don't know physics, I don't know biology, I don't know zoology, but I know economics. He knows how to run an election. But he doesn't know any economics, that I know. If he knew economics, he would never have said $5 trillion by 2024. So the real problem is the lack of backbone to get up to the Prime Minister and saying we are heading for a crash. I have, from my information, nobody has told him that.
But surely he reads the headlines, he reads...
I don't think so. Prime Ministers read headlines. They look at... nowadays they look at social media.
That's true also. But in social media also there are voices that are now speaking up.
But that you don't read, because you're just seeing who tweets to you. And since there are interlopers who will delete those who are sending critical comments. So you'll just see only praise. It happens. It has happened to many countries. It's happened to us.
Fair enough, but then how do you see? I mean, you think literally we have to go.
I think the probability is very high that we will first have a crash and then turn around. I don't think there's any way. It's not that I have written about 25 letters since 2015.
And no reply.
No, he acknowledges it. So I can't say he doesn't reply, but he acknowledges it. Then he passes it on to the bureaucracy, saying that, address it and tell me what the points are that I should know. I don't know what they put up before him. Because the present PMO doesn't have anybody who I can say, I can call as an economist. There are a lot of people with economics degrees. Even Nirmala Sitharaman has I think JNU.
Yes, that place again.
So, therefore, no harm in, no harm in the sense that sometimes you get shocks and then you wake up. Some countries develop like that, and a democracy particularly.
But you're taking everybody else with you for that shock. That's the right we don't want.
Anyway, there's no point in addressing it to me. I'm nowhere in the decision-making apparatus. So I just don't know what is going on. 40 economists were called. I was not called.
Someone to...
The Prime Minister called some 41. Never call more than one economist.
First of all.
Because, yes, Churchill used to say, if you call 2 economists, they'll give me 3 views. And all of them will say, on one hand this, on the other hand this. Yeah. So he said, send me 1 economist with 100 economists. So
I think that's needed very much over here, but...
Yeah, you need somebody who's pointed, is focused, and he knows the subject.
And someone who's handled the economy earlier.
Yeah, I have.
That
in
also
1990 crisis, I pulled it through.
Yeah.
If it weren't for my radical steps, nothing would happen. We abolished licenses and quotas in one blow. People thought there will be chaos. I think Montag Singh has written a book recently.
It's coming out, yeah.
You might read that, because he was my commerce secretary. And he was at that time, and he was fully into it. I think he also refers to me in the book.
I'll take a look at that. But see, let's look at what has been done, at least by this government. We were talking about increasing spend. They've decided to go in for this very ambitious disinvestment program. Again, something I know you're critical of. What about the IPO of LIC?
All right, if you're going in for disinvestment, then why are you raising tariffs and duties? You see, I mean, you're becoming more protectionist today. And Trump is coming here. It's not going to be a very happy meeting, I can tell you that. He's going to demand withdraw this, withdraw this, withdraw this. And we can't be seen doing that. Or do you say Air India is making losses, so I am wanting to privatize it? But Air India is making losses because you are incompetent. It's a wholly owned Indian government-owned airline. No decision, including whether to buy 1 fork or 2 forks for the breakfast, serving breakfast, is taken in the ministry. So now you blame the Air India. Why was Air India showing profit till 2004? Because it was being run efficiently. Then 70,000 crores worth of planes we bought, which we didn't want to use. And then you gave away all the profitable routes. This is not our government, this is the previous government. Now you say Air India is making loss, I want to sell it, and nobody wants to buy it. So you go on cheapening it. It's almost like a panic family silver sale. So then why are you then selling LIC, which is making profit, it gives you money every year? Now what is the reason for privatizing life insurance corporation? If you say Air India has to be sold because it's making loss, then why are you selling LIC? And going into a private sector? I mean, this is unheard of. This is what the Americans wanted from a long time. But we should not yield to it.
Well, is it also part of the Trump visit preparations?
No, maybe, but you see, the Americans, they are aging population. We are a young population. Average age is only 26 compared to the Americans 37. So their insurance people feel we are the best place. We have high interest rates.
Right.
You know what the Americans are doing? They're taking loans from American banks, which is 2% interest, coming to this country and lending. A good part of your foreign investment that you're getting is just lending. There's no productive work on it. So, I mean, financial wizards know how to, put you in circles.
Press up the numbers.
And I know, they know how to do A into B, B into C, and, because they know how to manipulate. And you have kept your interest rate so high, you're attractive. This is called interest arbitrage in America.
I see.
And that's what we are doing. We are making foreigners earn money by bringing their money from their banks and giving lending at 6 times the same price, same interest rate.
Also, there was a line that you wrote which I found pretty interesting. You said nothing kills incentive as unthinking taxation.
Yes.
So the new tax slabs.
Yeah, because you're giving by one hand and taking away with another.
You're saying don't save, don't invest in insurance.
No. First you're saying I'm reducing it. But then I will cut your exemptions. So in Madras there's a masala dosa store which put out a signboard that following the finance minister's speech, I'm reducing the price of dosas from 50 rupees to 40 rupees. So people went rushing there, and when you put the plate, they said, where's the chutney? They said, from today chutney will cost 15 rupees.
So much for the less dosa.
That's right. You're back to 55 instead of 50.
I used this argument with one of your BJP leaders. So he's saying, but they've got the option. We are saving for those people who don't want the chutney. They had to pay 50 bucks and now they are paying 40. So old people who don't want life insurance or who don't want, invest so much in savings.
I pity our spokesman. They have to defend. So they say these ridiculous things.
It really,
it's a question. If you want to enthuse the people, make their life easier, particularly the middle class, because that's what is called as a chattering class. They create opinions. Abolish income tax.
I was hoping you would.
No,
you're still holding that. You said it earlier.
Absolutely. And who's paying income tax? The agriculture sector, they don't. The businessmen have got chartered accountants. And anyone below the threshold, he doesn't pay any income tax. So it's really the middle class and the young entrepreneurs who are making, getting into new ventures. They are the ones who are are getting help, and you are harassing them. Income tax inspectors, even if you give a correct income tax, they will not clear you. They will raise some issues and keep it pending.
You're not very enthused by this income tax code that they're coming up, Vivad se Vishwas and all that.
These are codes and all necessary. No. There's no need for income tax.
So money kahan se aayega?
Money you auction 2G spectrum, 3G spectrum, 4G spectrum, 5G spectrum. They're all coming turn by turn. If the demand grows, then people will buy spectrum also. In the first year after I got the spectrum licenses cancelled, and now I said it should be auctioned, which the Supreme Court upheld, we got more than the income tax amount. So now all the telecom companies are in a mess because you pampered them. Yesterday the British court told our Indian prosecutors of Malaya that you have made some of the bank employees as accused. But on the record, I see letters from both the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister, that is Manmohan Singh and
Chidambaram,
directing the bank to give the loan. So I want to understand, in your country, banks give loans on the basis of their understanding of the market, or they act on the direction of your government? Because then you should prosecute the government ministers, not the banks. And it's there and all over the press there, but none of your press has carried it in one line.
No, this is something I must find out.
Yes, it's a lady judge of West London.
I'll look into that one. But you get back to you were saying that I remember Jharkhand elections also you had warned that economy was a factor. Delhi, you're saying the budget coming on the eve of the elections. We all were expecting that Delhi ka budget hoga, but nahi. So do you now say that economy does win elections? So economy?
No. I will say good economic results will not win you elections.
Then?
What will win you elections at that, if you just have produced good economic results, is the psychological, the injections you give, which is today in our country nationalism and so on. But on the other hand, if you can't now, when you start wondering where you're going to pay your fees for your children in the school, then that's a different matter. If you are unemployed, it becomes a different matter. Then these are life-threatening situations. So I've always said good economic results will not give you. Because at that time when I said it, Modi was saying Vikas. So I said Vikas alone will not win you elections. And we had lost the Delhi elections at that time by a bigger margin, by a more disastrous result than today.
Let you get away with 4 more seats.
Whatever it is, our performance is relatively better. That's not a satisfaction.
Very loose term.
That's not a satisfaction. But I'm saying that today the issue is, in my opinion, we were winning the Delhi elections till 1st of February. After seeing the budget, the middle class completely turned against us.
So good economics won't help you win, but bad economics can make you lose.
Will hurt you, yes.
You can lose because...
that's why I said, we are going to lose Delhi. I told that Huffington Post. She was shocked. She didn't believe it. The correspondent, that time it was not like this situation. It was just after we had won a huge Lok Sabha mandate. So at that time nobody knew the economy is in such a... It didn't affect the common household. Today the common household is affected. People are worried whether they should put money in the bank or take the money out.
Yeah, you don't trust the institutions anymore.
That's right.
And that's why I think the youth are also coming out, not for CA so much, but because they don't see any jobs.
That's right.
That is
the undercurrent. And you don't fix it, no matter how hard you work.
See, whoever I talk to, BJP people, they're admitting that states we are losing and, we may have a problem. But they're saying, because center mein to Modi, aaj Delhi ka vote bhi pada, Delhi mein Kejriwal, magar desh mein Modi. So this is the belief that is going to carry on.
When we won last time Bihar, Modi. When we win states also, they say Modi.
Sounds like Congress, very much.
No, it's bad. It's also not fair to Modi, because he is always under this tension. It is a totality of circumstances, and none of the ministers tell him on his face that this can be done or can't be done. So to that extent, I have seen one thing with Modi. I have only one area where I've seriously complained to him, and that is in corruption, when people were blocking my prosecution of corrupt people. And he intervened and fixed it, and that's how I came this far. So I think if our ministers were going to tell him, listen, this kind of economics will not work. All this atmospherics, you have to do fundamental things, and don't make everybody out to be a chore. Even today, that issue is there. These people are not paying taxes and so on.
Which is the whole mentality was that
you are a chore. Now, somebody should tell him, no. But none of the ministers do that.
But where does this distrust come from? In Gujarat Model, he did a good job. And he didn't distrust wealth creators then. He invited industrialists to come.
Gujaratis are a class apart. They are laissez-faire. The chief ministers can say anything, but they will do. They are danda, motu salary. They are a class apart. Gujarat is not a good example, because it's always been very well, right from Moraji's time and so on. Moraji used to tell me, for Gujarat you don't have to do anything, they will do it themselves. And if they decide to do something, they'll do it all. For instance, they removed Chimanbhai Patel, and the whole Nirmala movement uprooted the Congress government. And that's how Janata came. Abroad also, when I was campaigning against the emergency, the Madrasis didn't come out. Very few came out rather. And neither Punjabis, none of them came out. But the Gujaratis were across the board. The houses I stayed were all Gujarati houses because the others were worried that their passport would be cancelled. But not the Gujaratis. So the Gujaratis are a class apart. Don't go by that.
The Gujarati spirit has come to Delhi now. So
no,
two
but Delhi
Gujaratis
is
have
too
come
big.
to Delhi.
No, I mean Delhi has such a, and there are so many other interests involved. Then your diversions also so much. He's all the time abroad.
Yeah.
So I mean, and so what did those 41 economists who he gathered? What he had a meeting of theirs. What did it produce? Minister. All a bunch of contradiction. So he has it's easy to blame him, but the fact is that democracy is not a one-way street. The leader must have an opponent who must tell him this can't be done. In my case, I can't tell him because they'll think I want to be finance minister. I honestly do not want to be anything.
You do not want to be finance minister?
No, I say I don't want to be anything because I believe in what they call as destiny, prarabdha. So when something has to happen, I will become. This is how I became last time, last 2 times. So, but I don't say it for that reason. I say it because I'm really concerned. I've been proved right. Yeah. I mean, if I've been proved wrong, I can understand. But this is my field. I've been trained for it. I wouldn't have been in politics but for the political persecution I suffered in the hands of Mrs. Gandhi. So that's how I came into politics. So I am saying today the ministers also must get some gumption and go and tell him this can't work. But they are not doing it.
They're not saying they all depend on him. Most of them, as you know, are not even people who can win an election on their own steam.
That.
So at the end of the day,
that's right. And the others he keeps at a distance. I can go around the country, draw huge crowds every day. I'm happy doing it. But people say, be careful. Swami aayega, tumhara kursi chinega.
Well, the government's losses are gained because I'm sure if you were in the government, you wouldn't be giving us such candid interviews. So on that note,
that's the point.
Thank you for talking to us. And well, that's it for now. Thank you for watching this show. We'll see you again same time next week.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.